Have you ever been a victim of tourist abuse?
Yes. Project developed by Valentina Guerrero, Isabella Ospina, Valeria Londoño, Angie Castro, and Juanita Rojas. In this presentation, we will explore an important issue that affects the global tourism industry. Our main question is, how can the abuse and mistreatment of tourists impact international tourist patterns and the global destination's reputation? Our objective is to analyze the effects of such negative experiences on travel trends and the image of the international destinations. We aim to identify key factors that influence how travelers perceive places and make decisions when they're planning a trip.
Tourism doesn't just cause biodiversity loss and pollution, it also creates economic inequalities. Most profits go to large corporations, while local communities are left with unstable jobs and the loss of their cultural heritage. Global tourism's overuse harms the environments and local cultures. It turns traditions into commercial shows and puts the authenticity and sustainability of destinations at risk. This issue reaches us through social media platforms like TikTok or Instagram, often show cases of tourist abuse, making us more aware and critical of what's happening. At the same time, tourism is crucial for many economies. In countries like Spain, Italy, and Colombia, it represents over 10% of the GDP. A clear example is San Andres, where 80% of the local economy depends on tourism, not just for income, but also for jobs, investments, and trade. Now, I will leave you with my teammate who will talk more about this global impact.
So, continue the theme about the tourism abuse. Ibiza is one of them that face serious problems due to the mass tourism. During the high season, the island suffers from overcrowding with beaches, resorts, and streets becoming congested, generating noise, illegal activities, and a difficult daily life for residents who feel like their home has become a big nightclub. Add to this is alcohol and drug abuse with high rates among tourists and increase in deaths in recent years. This is not only affects safety but also overwhelms health service and the police. The environment and local culture are also affected. Privatized beaches, pollution, and the loss of authenticity and traditional spaces. The consequences of this are clear: dissatisfied tourists who doesn't return, a poor image on social media, protests from residents, and a strong impact on the economy, with fewer booking and less income for local business. So, in conclusion, the island is losing part of its essence and faces both social and economic risk if tourism is not better managed. In Mexico, tourism brings benefits but also many problems. One of the most serious is insecurity, with pirate taxis, illegal bars, and parties controlled by mafias that put tourists at risk and damage the country image. Add to this is sexual exploitation and human trafficking, especially in border areas and in the Caribbean, primarily affecting women and minors. Another problem is gentrification. In places like Tulum or Mexico City, housing, transportation, and food prices are rising so much that many locals can no longer live in their own neighbors, and the jobs created by tourism are precarious and poorly paid. In addition, there is an environmental damage, with hotels destroying ecosystem, pollution, and beaches and reefs, and tourism who doesn't not respect the rules. So, in conclusion, uncontrolled tourism in Mexico affects security, social justice, and the environment.
But what about New York? Worldwide, many destinations struggle facing tourist abuse, and New York isn't the exception. To analyze this issue, we can start by considering some important factors. As to last year, New York ranked first on the most visited cities of the US, with nearly 65 million visitors, becoming this the second highest score in the whole history of the city. Yet, this cipher doesn't differ much from past years, demonstrating the importance of tourism for New York's own personal identity. And as seen in this graphic, we can see domestic and international visitation to New York in millions throughout the years. But what about the economic, social, and cultural panorama? Economically speaking, tourism in New York impacts deeply many industries, out of which we can highlight restaurants, museums, hotels, and many more. During the pandemic, touristic activity had to take a recess. However, this wasn't enough cost to affect the city. Now, 4 years later, the sector bounced back, even stronger than ever. As we take a look at different statistics, like the NYC Tourism and Conventions, along with other sources, we can highlight the thorough impact tourism has on the New York City economy. Tourist spending supports 60 and 65% of local jobs in arts and entertainment, 30 and 35% in restaurants and bars, and just over 5% in retail trade. Actually, we can talk about the rise of social media. Along with it, many influencers have taken a glance at many places all over the city, and with their viral content, they have impulsed them to become viral spots. Yet the consequences aren't as positive. Because of this situation, overcrowding of tourists has become an issue, especially as scammers take advantage of tourists who are totally unaware they're being scammed with overpriced tour packages and many more. Culturally speaking, the issue raises from gentrification. For context, gentrification in NYC began with the upselling of traditional and affordable neighborhoods for their pleasing aesthetic. An example of so is Chinatown. The outcome reflects in the displacement of local communities, often minorities, and the destruction of neighborhoods' own cultural heritage. Not to mention the impact this has on tourists as well. Many businesses started financially exploiting tourists, charging overly raised prices for the food, experience, and aesthetic. Worth mentioning, these businesses are not even remotely run by locals, but instead are run by business people who see an opening for financial exploitation.
Okay, to continue, we are going to talk about consequence of tourist abuse and mistreatment in Colombia, specific in Medellin. First, there are social causes like the exploitation of vulnerable communities, especially women and teenagers, in areas such as El Poblado, Laureles, Provenza, and the Estadio. There are also economic causes like the unregulated tourist businesses, where the money doesn't benefit the city and the income quality the most important. So the science profits often stay in the hands of the tourists and are increased by scams that take advantage of for, foreigners unfamiliar with Colombia currency. Finally, a cultural cause is the way media and films have turned to Pablo Escobar into a major tourist attraction, reinforcing the city's violent past. Consequence. As a result, Medellin culture is reduced to a drug trafficking images, overshadowing its biodiversity, history, and the true identity of the city. So, this distorted view not so only affects the tourists see the city, but also how locals see themselves. To continue, we have the social and cultural causes and consequences in Cartagena. Social cause. Tourism abuse in Cartagena is linked with historical inequality. Many communities lack access to education and employment. The arrival of wealthy tourists has encouraged the sex tourism and the informal labor in poor conditions. Also, the absence of social programs that include communities with dignity reinforce exclusion and exploitation. Cultural cause. Cartagena promotes an exotic and a colonial image, while ignoring its rich Afro-descendant culture. This image has been commercially exploited with our proper cultural management. Consequence. Socially, it normalizes inequality and abuse. Many women and youth see tourism as a risk opportunity, creating tension between locals and tourists. Tourist. Culturally, local expression are adapted to the tourist wants, weakening uh, traditions and disconnecting with the new generation from the roots.